What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the FF Ballbusters podcast. Thank you for joining us. We are recording this on Thursday, May 11th. My name is Eric. That's my co-host, Will. How you feeling this morning, man?
Dog, I'm feeling good. I'm ready to be doing something a little bit different today. This is kind of outside of our wheelhouse right here. I like this.
Yeah, we got a little unique. We're going over to tiermaker.com. We're doing a tier list of the incoming rookie class. We got, I think, 26 players on the list. So kind of an approximation of what your first two rounds in your Dynasty rookie mocks should look like. Or not your mocks, your actual rookie drafts. And yeah, we're just going to go in order and kind of place these guys throughout the tiers. Hopefully help you to understand where the tier drop-offs are so that it's easier to, decide between these guys in your draft, but also decide how to make trades while you're going through the draft, all that sort of stuff. Hopefully we can help you out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but Will, you ready to get into it?
Yeah, ready to start. Let's fire it up.
All right. We have 5 tiers here. First guy on the list is Devon Achane. So I'll let you kick us off and kind of talk about where you think he should be placed.
So for Devon Achane, as a prospect himself, we're pretty excited about him. You know, great landing spot with Miami, pretty much the ideal place. But I feel like we also do still have to temper our expectations a little bit just because of his size and he has a possibility to get hurt, stuff like that. But it's such a great landing spot that it's tough to have him fall too far. So me personally, I'm looking at that third tier for Mr. Devon Achane, possibly even the top of that third tier.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with you. Also, it's probably important to note that the way that we're ranking these, the settings are Superflex and tight end premium. That's kind of our standard that we go by. So the quarterbacks are going to be ranked higher. The tight ends are going to be ranked higher than if you were in a single quarterback or non-tight end premium area. But yes, with all that being said, I do agree. I think Devon Achane is probably going to find his way into that third tier. I don't know. It'll depend on how things shake out. This is the first player on the board.
This list is dynamic, guys. It can change up quite a bit as we go.
Absolutely. I think he might find his way towards the back end of that third tier. That doesn't mean I don't like him, but I'm in agreement that that's where he should belong for now.
Okay, well, let's see how it shakes out.
All right, so I'm going to drop him up there. And then we got Jordan Addison. He lands also in a very good landing spot. I think we both agree. He goes to the Minnesota Vikings. He gets to be the wide receiver 2 there behind Justin Jefferson. I think he walks into 90-plus targets in his rookie season. He can be really productive right off the bat. With all that being said, where do you think he belongs?
Mr. Jordan Addison. So I'm going to immediately walk back my statement. I think he's going to go on that third tier above Devon Achane for sure.
Yeah.
It's immediate walk back.
I think so as well. Yeah. We'll have a lot more discussion as we fill in more players. I'm interested to see where this goes, but I'm in agreement so far. Third tier. There's a clear top 2 tiers in my brain as we're thinking about it now, and I think this next guy falls into that top tier. Anthony Richardson. Do you agree with me?
Absolutely. He's at the top tier just in terms of potential. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Anthony Richardson in the top tier. I think he's clear and away our 102. And honestly, there could be some argument to be made that he belongs at the 101 above Bijan. I'm not going to argue with anybody whether you should or shouldn't do that, but I think there's a conversation to be had.
Yeah, honestly, I think I've seen people, a lot of discourse lately saying Anthony Richardson is the 101. I'm a little bit hesitant to say it. Based off potential, for sure he's the 101. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of at the 101, you want someone who's going to be a sure hit, I feel like. And I think Bijan is a sure hit,
There's not too many more sure things than Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
So the safety in that is very appealing.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Next guy on the list is Tank Bigsby. He goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars, gets to run behind or maybe in tandem with Travis Etienne. Where do you feel like he belongs?
I'm looking at Cartavius down here, and I'm thinking...
What a name.
Yeah, Cartavius Tank Bigsby.
That's crazy.
Thinking just because he's there with Travis Etienne, it's going to be a pretty split backfield. I don't think it's going to be a 50-50 split. So just taking that into consideration and considering that Travis Etienne is also as young as him, so they're both going to kind of progress at the same rate, I'm looking at that fourth tier for Mr. Tank. I don't think he's quite like a fifth tier. Like I think he's gonna get some play. He's gonna get some burn, probably some goal line touches as well, but nothing world breaking.
Yeah. We haven't disagreed yet. That's where I would put him as well. Ooh. I think I would also go fourth tier. Woo. Bijan, this is easy.
I went ahead. I already moved him. We're good.
Perfect. All right. Bet. Next guy on the list is Bryce Young. I don't think there's going to be too much debate here either. He's a tier 2 guy for you, yeah?
Absolutely. Like you said, or like you had alluded to, there's always kind of a tier break. And obviously, it's these two guys up at the top. Bryce Young is right behind them, but he's in that next tier. He just doesn't have the same ceiling, but the floor is right there. And dude's poise is there as well.
Yeah, and I think this could be controversial to some people. There are definitely some people that aren't as in on Anthony Richardson as we are and think, all those quarterbacks are kind of in the same value range. I don't know. I can't see a world where Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, when we get to him, find their way into like the top 5 dynasty quarterback rankings if they don't run the ball, which neither of them statistically are like big runners of the football. I think both of them were behind like Joe Burrow's college numbers in terms of rushing.
No, there was literally a concern that like CJ Stroud needed to run the ball more.
Yeah. And so without that rushing floor, like I feel like their ceiling is like kind of Dak Prescott, who has finished in the top 5 before, but is consistently kind of that back end QB1, whereas Anthony Richardson could be like a Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields type, and perennially finish in that kind of top 5 area.
Yeah, you guys want to be safe, take up chess, man. But we're going for the home run hits out here, dog.
Let's go. Come on. All right. Next up on the list is Zach Charbonnet. Finds himself in an interesting situation, an interesting backfield committee here in Seattle. Maybe behind, maybe even with Kenneth Walker. It's yet to be seen. But yeah, I'm curious to see what you have to say here and where he should be placed on this list.
This one is probably one of the tougher ones right here because my first instinct was to throw him down in that 5 tier just because of his landing spot with Kenneth Walker. But yeah. I do think they're both going to get used pretty heavily in this offense. I think, like you said, Zach Charbonnet kind of fills out a skill set that Kenneth Walker, I wouldn't say he doesn't have, but one that he doesn't excel at in terms of the receiving game.
Yeah.
And both have similar capital. So I'm looking at that tier 4 for Zach Charbonnet right here with a possible tier 5. But what are you thinking?
I'm thinking the same. As much as I am nervous about the landing spot, as much as it severely caps his ceiling. But just talking about like how much we loved him as a prospect and the draft capital that he got, it's hard to ignore both of those things and to drop him all the way down to the bottom of the list. I think he's probably in a similar value range as Tank Bigsby that we talked about. Both of them go to kind of a committee running back situation. And so I'm fine with putting him there as well.
Would you put him ahead of or behind Tank Bigsby?
Oh, that's a good question. Man, I think that kind of like you talked about, Zach Charbonnet does provide a little bit more receiving ability than Kenneth Walker, but they're fairly similar in terms of the rest of their skill sets, where Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne, I think, are more unique. And I think that means that there's a more defined role for Tank in his offense. I don't know. That's splitting hairs. I guess I'd probably say Tank ahead, but not by a lot.
Yeah, I could agree with that because, like you said, they 2 different runners. If anything were to happen to one of these 2 guys in Seattle, obviously the other one is going to benefit greatly from a fantasy perspective. But yeah, I definitely agree there.
Okay, quick break in the action, real quick. I just want to talk about one of our partners, Dynasty Owner. If you are really good at Dynasty, if you're just killing it, beating all your league mates, winning money all the time, you can do the same thing over at Dynasty Owner. If you place in the top 4 of your league, you can get a payout. And also, if you are really good at taking your team from worst to first, improving your team from when you originally found it, they also have a Dynasty Owner marketplace where you can go and sell your team for more than you bought into it for. If you are in a bunch of leagues, you're still looking to join more, but you want kind of a unique experience, Dynasty Owner is also your place. They have a patent on using real-life NFL salaries in their Dynasty games, and so the NFL draft, NFL free agency, NFL trade window, all of that stuff becomes even more important because it directly impacts the salaries of your players, which I think is really cool. And also, if you're just looking to have a good time and support the show, if you like what we do, if you want to see more from us, it would mean a whole hell of a lot if you could go over to dynastyowner.com and use our promo code BALLBUSTERS for 20% off when you sign up. Again, promo code BALLBUSTERS for 20% off at sign up.
Huge thanks to the guys over at Dynasty Owner.
Yes, sir. All right, let's get back into the action. The next guy on the list here is Josh Downs. He gets drafted in the 3rd round to the Indianapolis Colts. Where are you feeling like he belongs?
I'm looking at Josh Downs, and the first thing that screamed at me was tier 3, to be honest with you. Just in terms of the prospect himself, in terms of, I like the landing spot in Indianapolis. I feel like there isn't really anyone to play that slot role, but it's a matter of if Anthony Richardson, I feel like, he's got to work on his accuracy, stuff like that, things people have been talking about. And I know there's been a lot of reports that Josh Downs has sort of emerged as one of the leading receivers in whatever it is they're doing right now. I don't really take that into account. They're playing out there in shorts and T-shirts. But I don't know. I'm stuck between 3 and 4 for Josh Downs, to be honest with you. Because I feel like he could have gotten better draft capital. But at the same time, he's a talented player. He is who he is, and the team wanted him where they got him. So,
yeah,
it's tough right there.
So I'll tell you, I would love to put him in tier 3 based on his talent. And like if he had gotten drafted in the 2nd round, if he had gotten, I like his situation, but it's not, a smash spot situation.
It's not a golden situation. Yeah.
It's not perfect. So I'll say, do you think that Josh Downs is closer in value right now to Jordan Addison or Tank Bigsby?
He's closer to Tank Bigsby in terms of value. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking as well. So I'm leaning tier 4. As much as I like the player and the prospect, I think that's probably closer to where he belongs.
Yeah, I say that's fair. That's absolutely fair.
Okay. So we'll throw him into tier 4. And then we got Jahmyr Gibbs. Gets the smash spot landing spot that we were just referring to. He goes 12th overall to the Detroit Lions. I think this is also pretty easy. He's tier 2, right?
Yeah, he's already up there, dog. He's in tier 2 for sure.
For sure. I love it. Okay, interesting one here. Hendon Hooker. Probably the last of the group of quarterbacks. Where do you see him slotting in?
I'm putting him in tier 5. I think it's going to be our first tier 5er. Yeah, he's just not that great of a prospect himself to begin with. Played in a weird offense in college, so it's even up in the cards if he's going to be able to adapt to an NFL pro-style offense. Also, he's got a torn ACL, so he's coming off of that. He's 25 years old, so he's damn near Jared Goff's age. Also, did I mention Jared Goff is there, and there's been a lot of extension talks for Jared Goff, so it's not looking great for Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, and that's basically how I feel about him. But just to play a little bit of devil's advocate, he does go to a good situation. If he does eventually take over, if they don't extend Jared Goff, he gets to play behind one of the best offensive lines, if not the best offensive line in football. He gets a great weapons group around him. And so I think even if he's not an amazing prospect, an amazing NFL quarterback, like he could still succeed within the parameters of that Detroit offense. It's just a question of whether or not you're drafting the future starter of the Lions or a career backup.
No, that's facts. That's big facts.
And so I think that type of risk is reason enough to put him in that tier 5.
Yeah.
All right. We're in agreement once again. And I don't think we're going to be disagreeing on this one either. Smith-Njigba is next on the list. He does slip a little bit further than we expected in the NFL draft. He goes 20th overall to the Seahawks. There's been some debate as to whether or not that's a good landing spot, a bad landing spot. I want to hear your thoughts on that and also where you think he should end up.
In terms of whether it's a good landing spot or bad landing spot, I think it's a good landing spot, especially for the future. Tyler Lockett, he's starting to age out of the league. In terms of where Jackson Smith-Njigba can play himself, he can play in the slot, he can play outside. He said himself that he wants to be able to do both. I think Pete Carroll said, he's great for the slot role for right now, which is cool because you got Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. That makes sense. But one of them goes or, Tyler Lockett retires, something of that nature. I think JSN immediately steps into that either outside role, stays inside wherever. It doesn't matter because this team's going to use him wherever he's at. He's going to be out there on the field. And like you said, he may not have gotten the huge capital we thought like earlier in the first round, but he still is a first-round wide receiver. So they are going to greatly value him a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So in terms of tiers, I'm looking at that too.
I'm in agreement. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not going to disagree there. I think he probably belongs at the back end of tier 2. But I mean, we're talking about one of the top prospects in the entire draft. So I'm not letting him slide any further than that. I do just want to mention, I don't know that this is a guarantee because, Tyler Lockett is such a big part of that team and the fan base loves him. So if he wants to continue playing, I don't see them, letting him play for another team necessarily, but there is an out in his contract where they could save a significant amount of money against the cap after this upcoming season. So it could only be one season if they decide to go that route, if Tyler Lockett's ready to hang it up or whatever the case may be, where Jackson Smith becomes the clearly defined wide receiver 2, maybe even wide receiver 1. I think there's a chance he's better than DK. They fill very different roles for an NFL offense, but from a fantasy perspective, I could certainly see him being the guy there.
Yeah, I could see that too.
All right. This one is going to be interesting. I think there's going to be a little bit of debate here. We'll see. Maybe we'll be in agreement again. We're talking about Kendre Miller is the next guy on the list. Goes in the 3rd round, I believe, to the New Orleans Saints. A lot of question marks about how that depth chart is going to look, whether Alvin Kamara is going to be suspended, whether he's going to be able to play, whether he's going to be sticking around on the team for more than a year, regardless of what happens there. And then you also have Jamal Williams, who the team brought in. There's a lot of running back competition, but we like Kendre. Where are you feeling he should belong here?
So my heart wants to say tier 3, but my brain is telling me tier 4, and it's exactly for all the reasons that you said. There's just too much uncertainty around Kendre Miller's position. In terms of him as a talent, we do think he's like a Jamal Williams, but better, like a younger Jamal Williams. But like you said, we don't know if Alvin Kamara is going to stay there, if he's going to get suspended. And if he doesn't get suspended, then what does that relegate Kendre Miller to? Because obviously Alvin Kamara, he's been someone this team's been laying on for years. They've been relying on him for a long time, and I don't think that's going to stop if he's available. So
right.
It's tough for me. Future-wise, I think Kendre Miller's going to end up being good. He's going to end up panning out and get his opportunity because these guys are both 28 years old. But it's going to take a little bit. So I would say that top end of the 4th tier.
Yeah, so I think I agree with you. But it's an interesting debate to have because, do I think that he belongs in the same tier as Jordan Addison? Probably not. But then, do I think he's really that far removed from Devon Achane?
That's the issue.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm more than okay with putting him in tier 4 for right now. I think Devon Achane probably has a slightly clearer path to get to fantasy relevance in year 1. But I think that, whether it be Kendre or Devon Achane, those might be some guys that we revisit as this list goes on.
I could see that too. That would make some sense because we just don't know how it's going to shake out for either of them, to be honest.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm fine with that for now. So tier 4 continues to grow. This one could be interesting as well. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on Dalton Kincaid, our first tight end of the list. Again, we're focusing on tight end premium, like a half-point tight end premium. So they get a little bit of added value boost. Where do you think Dalton Kincaid belongs now that he ends up on the Bills with Josh Allen?
So I love the landing spot. I love Dalton Kincaid as a receiver. I love everything about it. So me personally, I'm looking at tier 3 behind Jordan Addison, but in front of Devon Achane, to be honest with you. I just see
that's
that
exactly
being the safest place to put him right here.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking the exact same thing. No argument from me there. Throw him up on the list. And we get another tight end, our boy, our favorite, Sam Laporta. He goes to the Detroit Lions. You're chomping at the bit, literally. Look at you.
I kind of want to put him right behind Dalton Kincaid. I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of want to put him right behind him because I just think in terms of starting receiver or starting tight ends, I think he's got a super clear path to the starting tight end position because even Dalton Kincaid, there's still Dawson Knox there. Obviously, I think they're going to move him out to the slot and kind of use him more as a receiver, but this is kind of speculation from us as well. But I think in terms of the clearest spot to the tight end one position for a team that does value the tight end, whose head coach was a former tight end himself, I like Sam Laporta a lot.
Yeah. All right.
But what are you thinking about that? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I might have to push back a little bit. You know,
Okay.
we both love Sam Laporta. I'm a huge supporter, and I completely agree with you that he's got the clear path to be the tight end one immediately from the jump. But we saw what Taijae Hockenson looked like in that offense. And as much as we wanted him to produce for fantasy, as much as we thought he would do better with more opportunity, he never really saw high volume for them. They typically don't throw it to the tight end a ton. Also, they already have Amon-Ra St. Brown there, who's kind of that short to intermediate security blanket for Jared Goff and kind of the target hog there. So I don't know that it would be necessarily a high volume role, at least immediately. But I think he could eventually work his way into that. I think Dalton Kincaid is going to be like that target hog kind of slot receiver for the Bills. They don't have a guy on their roster right now that fills that kind of role. And so for me, I think there is a little bit of a tier differentiation between the two of them. So I would lean like top end of tier 4 before I'd put him in tier 3.
Okay.
But you know, we're doing like we got to come to a consensus here. We're talking about this together.
Because I'm just thinking, man, because I'm thinking about the Lions roster, because you said, they got Amon-Ra St. Brown. They kind of fill similar roles in the center of the field, like short yardage areas, stuff like that. But in terms of who else they have to throw the ball to, at least to start out the season as well, like Jameson Williams isn't going to be there. He's not there. And then you got Jahmyr Gibbs out the backfield. But in terms of anyone else, who do you have?
That's fair. No, it's a fair point.
But also, that's looking from more of that's not really a dynasty perspective right there. That's more of a redraft thing. So I will admit that right there, that I'm looking at those 6 games as an advantage over other players. But at the same time, I think he's got a good role in this offense, man. And second round capital is nothing to shake a stick at.
No, absolutely not. So all right, if you were picking, you're still going tier 3?
I would go tier 3, but I am willing to put him at the back of tier 3.
All right, let's do that for now.
Okay.
Again, it might be something that we revisit, but I'm down to do that.
Okay.
For the time being.
All right, guys. Another quick break in the action. Just wanted to make sure we let you guys know about one of our partners, the Fantasy Football League winners. We're working with them, making some content for them as well. So if you check out their website, we actually just made a new video for veteran stock up and stock down for after the NFL draft. So check that out when you get a chance. Check the link out down in the description below. And also check out everybody else's articles, stuff like that. There's no paywall. So check it out. It's content that's purely there for you to enjoy, you to take in, and just get some good information out of. And as a part of that partnership, we're also sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. So with Underdog Fantasy, if you're a first-time user and use our promo code FFLW, they will match your deposit up to 100%. Up to $100, 100%. So if you were to deposit $20, they will give you an additional $20 on top of that. So you'd have $40 in your account. If you put in $100, they will add an additional $100, making it $200 for your account. Up to $100. So that's $200 you could have to go out there and gamble responsibly on Underdog Fantasy using promo code FFLW.
Hell yeah. Thank you to the league winners, and thank you to Underdog. All right. We'll get right back into it. Next guy up on the list is Will Levis.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, another quarterback. We are talking Superflex, obviously. He goes not in the first round, as a lot of us expected. He goes to the beginning of the second round, finds his way onto the Tennessee Titans, who are in an interesting situation, kind of in a rebuild, but also like not sure they're totally committed to that. We'll have to see. There's been talk about them trading Ryan Tannehill, so it's possible Will Levis starts right away. But again, the surrounding kind of supporting cast and protection group for Will Levis is not looking great. With all that being said, what are you thinking here?
I'm looking at tier 4 for Will Levis. Just because, like you said, he might get opportunity very early on, which is cool, and that's awesome. Obviously, in Superflex, someone's going to own him. He's going to be on some team because he's a quarterback that would have a starting position. But in terms of landing spots, it's not great. Not a great offensive line, even though they added a tackle this past draft.
Yeah, they got Peter Skoronski, I believe, from the first round.
So they are building up the offensive line, but it's not where it needs to be. Obviously, one guy isn't going to solve every single problem they've got. So it's tough to really be optimistic about Will Levis, especially early on, and who knows if he's going to even be able to succeed early on with these kind of things stacked up against him. You know what I mean? So taking the chance just because he has potential to be a starting quarterback, I wouldn't put him in 5, but I don't see the ceiling to be that high for Will Levis either.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you said. That all makes a lot of sense to me.
But it's more so the placement.
Yeah, the value insulation for the quarterback position in Superflex leagues is tremendous. Like, I think nobody expects him to be good year one. Not a single person in the fantasy community is like, this guy's going to ball in Tennessee in year one.
I don't expect him to be good year 2, but go ahead.
I don't expect him to be good ever, to be honest with you. I don't like Will Levis. I don't think either of us like Levis. But that doesn't mean, like, just because I don't like the prospect doesn't mean that the market isn't going to continue to value him at a high level. Just because we're talking Superflex, he's going to be a starter in the league.
Right.
He's going to be young. He's got the potential, right? There's plenty of people out there that do believe in him. So this might be a situation where, if he falls, if we're not necessarily talking tiers, because I haven't really decided where to put him yet, but if we're talking about the actual rookie draft, if he falls to like the very back end of the first or maybe early second, even if I don't necessarily believe in him, I'm willing to take a shot there because I know if he does anything remotely positive in year one, I can sell him for more than what I just drafted him at.
No, that is true. I just got shades of Malik Willis here, man. That's the only thing, because they brought him in last year. Obviously, they didn't really talk him up too much, but they left that guy dead in the water this year. They did not give a shit about Malik Willis.
Yeah,
that's the
as
thing.
Much as that, and that's fair. That makes sense. As much as I am not a huge fan of Will Levis, I do think he's a better prospect than Malik Willis was, and I think draft capital shows that as well. He went at the beginning of the second. There were rumblings that teams were trying to trade into the back end of the first, whereas Willis went in the third.
Yeah.
So for me, I think he might belong at the very back end of tier 3.
I could live with that. I could live with that because I would have put him at the top end of tier 4. I could live with that.
Okay. All right. Then let's do that for now. And again, we can always shake it up if need be.
Okay.
Michael Mayer. We got another tight end on the list. He goes to the Las Vegas Raiders, kind of fills in for the hole left by Darren Waller. I think he's set up to have a decent role right off the bat. And obviously he was an incredibly productive, had an incredibly productive career at Notre Dame, one of the more productive tight ends in college football history. I think if we're putting Sam Laporta in tier 3, I think Michael Mayer belongs right there as well.
I absolutely agree. I would.
Okay.
Where would you put him at though? Would you put him after, like right after Dalton Kincaid, before Devon Achane and Sam Laporta, or after Devon Achane before Sam Laporta, or after Sam Laporta?
If it's gut feeling right now, I'm putting him in between Achane and Laporta.
That's what I was thinking too.
Okay. All right, I like that.
Yeah.
Slot him in there. Okay, here's an interesting one. Marvin Mims. So he gets drafted. I think he was also a third rounder. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he was third round to the Denver Broncos. There is kind of a loaded wide receiver depth chart there with Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, KJ Hamler. KJ Hamler hasn't been able to stay healthy, and that's kind of a guy that we've been comparing Marvin Mims to. At least in this Denver offense, I think that's a role that he can fill as like a downfield field stretcher type guy. You got an answer for us?
Yeah, back into the second round, 63rd overall.
Oh, second round. Okay. I was selling him short. So even better draft capital. There's not a ton of stock that you can put into teams hyping up guys that they just drafted, because what else are they going to do? Like, obviously, they're going to hype these guys up. But like Sean Payton specifically has been already talking about the role that Marvin Mims is going to have in this offense year one, talking about how he was their guy, that they targeted him. It's all encouraging to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll stop rambling. Let's talk about value and where he should belong here.
Marvin Mims for me in terms of value, just because there's so much target competition over there, I feel like tier 4 is a safe place to put him. But what do you think? Just because I know Jerry Jeudy's still there, Cortland Sutton's still there. KJ Hamler, even though, this is the guy we think is going to be replacing him, is still there for the moment. Tim Patrick as well, Greg Dulcich, Alberto. What do you I was going to try the last name, not going for it.
That's all right.
Where do you see? Because I'm seeing like tier 4 above like Tank Bigsby, but behind Kendre Miller.
See, okay. Since I'm not seeing your screen, where do you have Josh Downs in terms of his placement?
Josh Downs is right behind Tank Bigsby for me, and in between Tank Bigsby and Zach Charbonnet. Or do we need to fix this tier right now?
No, I'm not even saying that. Are you saying that Marvin Mims belongs in front of Josh Downs? Is that your take?
Ooh, actually, honestly, kinda, yeah. Kinda.
Okay.
Just because
Why?
The only thing that's holding me back from Josh Downs is I love him as a talent, this and that, but his success kind of hinges on Anthony Richardson's success as well. Whereas with Marvin Mims, we've got Russell Wilson, which I know he had a down year last year, guys, but I think he's going to end up getting back in the swing of things. And if he does, that's already like a great quarterback throwing the ball to start out the gates. Now, it's more of a safety thing, I guess, more so than anything, me putting him in front of Josh Downs. But in terms of talent, I do like Josh Downs a little bit more. But, yeah, at least that's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think I'd probably argue the other way, not by a lot. There's not a ton separating these guys, but talent and prospect profile alone, I love Josh Downs. I like him a lot more than I liked Marvin Mims. And I think that there's less target competition. I think he steps into a slot role where he can start right away. And Michael Pittman can be a possession guy, but they'll probably, with the addition of Josh Downs, want to use him more deeper down the field. Alec Pierce is kind of that jump ball guy, not necessarily a volume hog, where I think Josh Downs can be like the volume getter in that offense. Definitely a good point that Anthony Richardson needs to develop as a passer. And so, it might not be efficient volume. It might not be the most accurate volume. But I would argue, just splitting hairs, that Josh Downs would be ahead of Mims. But if we're this close between the guys, I'm definitely saying he belongs in tier 4.
So if that's the case, I'll put Marvin Mims behind Tank Bigsby, and I'll put him right in front of Josh Downs, just so there's no separation there. We can pretty much say those two are interchangeable at this point, because I'm cool with that.
Yeah, same. All right. Marvin Mims is placed. The next guy on the list here is Jonathan Mingo. He gets early second-round draft capital, goes to the Carolina Panthers to grow and develop with Bryce Young. Not a great depth chart at the wide receiver position for the Panthers, so easily ascendable, there is potential for him to be the wide receiver 1 there if he is what Carolina hopes that he is. Do you think he is what Carolina hopes that he is?
No.
Okay. Easy answer. I agree. I don't think he is either. With that being said, where should he slide in on this list?
I would go top end of the 4th tier, just purely off of the fact that I think he is going to step in as his team's wide receiver 1. So he's going to get some volume. I don't know how good he's going to be with it or what he's going to end up doing with it, how he's going to pan out. But I would look at this top end of tier 1, maybe not in front of Kendre Miller, but somewhere around here. And it's gross to say because I like Marvin Mims and Josh Downs a lot more as prospects and players, but it's really tough to ignore that capital and just the landing spot where there's really no one else to contend with him out there except for like DJ Chark or Adam Thielen, the ghost of Alan Thielen.
Yeah. So maybe I'm an asshole.
You want to put him in tier 5, don't you?
Bro, I think he belongs at best at the back end of tier 4. Fuck this guy.
I'm kind of cool with that, to be honest with you, because top end of 4 is just like I don't want to do it either, but I just we can't put him in tier 5 because of the landing spot, the capital, all that. But in terms of him as a player, it's amazing that he's even in tier 4 to me.
There's only one guy in tier 5 so far, and I think once we place all these players, I think that might change. We'll see who moves down there. There's going to be some guys that get demoted.
Yep.
But yeah, teams make mistakes, man. And I think the Panthers made a mistake taking Mingo ahead of guys like Downs, Mims, some other guys that were on the board, or just taking him that early. Like, I didn't see it on tape or in the statistics for Mingo. I have a hard time. Yes, draft capital matters a lot. Situation does matter a lot. And I'm not trying to hold on to my priors, and not change my opinion. I'm willing to concede that he deserves to be in the tier with these guys. But as prospects, he was nowhere near them before the draft happened. So I'm not trying to put him ahead of them just because of this.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where it came from, to be honest with you. But, It is what it is.
Yeah. All right. Luke Musgrave goes to the Green Bay Packers. He was the first tight end drafted by the Packers. They also took Tucker Kraft, I think a round or two later. Decent draft capital. A situation where he has the ability to step into that starting tight end 1 role immediately if he can seize it. Where do you think he belongs?
I'm looking at tier 4 for him, and the more I'm looking at him in tier 4, the more I'm like, yeah, we got to move Jonathan Mingo down, man. Just because, one, this tier is getting pretty full, and 2, it's like, yeah, I don't like that guy. Like you said, I don't really like him.
Mingo?
Yes, you want to move him down?
Let's move him down.
Okay, bet.
Get out of here, Mingo.
With that being said, I would like to put Luke Musgrave in his spot where he was at the back end of that 4.
You think he belongs that high?
Luke Musgrave? I think so. Like you said, because he has opportunity to step in and actually do something. And we're in tight end premium. You know what I mean? So we do get that extra boost. So I think back end of that 4th tier is fair because he is going to play.
I don't know, man. I think Tucker Kraft is better. I think he's the tight end 1.
It'd be funny, bro, because I feel like there's always that trend where, like, when teams draft 2 tight ends, the second one they pick is always better.
It's been the case a lot.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews was in the same boat. They took Hayden Hurst and then Mark Andrews a lot later.
Yeah.
If I had to pick, I would put Musgrave in tier 5.
Okay, top end of tier 5?
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
Okay. All right, so we'll slot him in there. QJ, Quentin Johnston, also gets a really good landing spot. Maybe not for immediate initial success. He does have to go in there, and compete with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. But both of those guys are on the older side, Keenan especially. They could be on their way out soon. And Quentin Johnston, even with those guys being there, I think fills a role that neither of those guys really have the skill set to do. He's kind of that deep speed field stretcher and also a yak guy, which neither of those guys are great at. So he could produce right away, and obviously his role will expand. With all that being said, where are we putting him in the tier list?
I'm looking at tier 3, and I'm looking either between Jordan Addison and Dalton Kincaid or between Dalton Kincaid and Devon Achane.
Yeah.
But I'm leaning more towards between Jordan Addison and Dalton Kincaid. But what are you thinking?
All of the words that you just said, yes.
Okay. Cool.
I'm also debating between Kincaid and Addison or right after Kincaid. I love Kincaid, but QJ is also phenomenal talent, so I'm down to put him right behind Jordan Addison.
Bet.
Okay. That one was easy. All right, another quick break in the action here. We have another ad read to talk about, and that is for our partner, Do Numbers, a great apparel brand with all sorts of good t-shirts and hoodies and cool sponsored things. I'm wearing one right now, if I can grab it. I don't know why I'm struggling so much. Do Numbers is a great brand run by our boy, Zay. And so you can check it out down in the description below at snacks.online. And if you're interested in getting yourself some sweet merch, some apparel, just like I'm wearing right now, you can head over there and use our promo code FFBallbusters15 for 15% off your order. So we would really appreciate it if you would support us, if you would support our friend Zay, and use our promo code FFBallbusters15 to get 15% off some sweet hoodies and t-shirts and stuff.
Hell yeah.
All right. We are down to the last 6 players on this list, and then we'll probably have to shake some things up after that, but I'm interested to see where we go with Jaden Reed, the next wide receiver up on the list. Gets pretty good capital, and he goes to the Green Bay Packers, again, with a fairly ascendable depth chart, in my opinion. Christian Watson, I think, is the pretty clear wide receiver 1 above him, but He's probably better than anybody else there. Romeo Doubs, I'm not worried about. To be honest with you, I don't know that I can name anybody else that's currently playing wide receiver for the Packers. At least they're not coming to the top of my head. So where do you think he slots in among the rest of these guys?
I'm looking at tier 3, and I'm looking in between Michael Mayer and Sam Laporta. That spot right there, that little bit of real estate. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts?
I think tier 3 is getting too saturated.
Ooh.
I think so. We haven't gotten to CJ Stroud yet, and I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, but I think he probably belongs in tier 2. Yeah?
Yeah, I say it's safe.
And I think that probably rounds out tier 2. So tier 1 and tier 2 is the 101 through the 106. So then we're talking about the middle of the first. And like, where does the tier end from? Like Jordan Addison? Are we saying Jordan Addison and Jaden Reed belong in the same tier together? Because I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's definitely fair. So what do you think we should do? Do you think we should just drop him down to tier 4? And then where would you place him there?
I think that's an interesting debate for sure. My opinion, as we've gotten a little bit further away from the draft, I've had more time to think about it. I've been consuming content as well from other content creators that I respect and whose opinions I value. And I think what I'm getting to is like, I'm taking a lot of these running backs before a lot of these like tier down receivers. Like once you get past Jordan Addison, Quentin Johnston, and another guy that is still left on the list, I'm probably taking a lot of these running backs before that next set of guys.
That's fair.
So I'd probably put Jaden Reed right around the same area that we have Downs and Mims.
So like after those two?
Or
after Zach Charbonnet? Would you take Zach Charbonnet before you take Jaden Reed?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably. I hate to say that because I hate the situation. I'm gonna forget who it was. There was a guy on Twitter, and I apologize for not remembering your name because I do want to credit you. But he said, draft capital is important, but let's remember, it's a tiebreaker, not a tier breaker. And I thought that was a great saying and a really important lesson to remember. And we were talking about Zach Charbonnet as the clear RB3, could go at the 107, the 108 in these drafts. And then he gets drafted in the second round to a terrible situation, which is very important. We need to take that into consideration. He's not going to produce at a high level right away like we thought he might. But I'm not willing to say that he should be drafted behind Jaden Reed, who we were talking about in the pre-draft process as like a 3rd or 4th round guy even.
No, that's fair. I think that's fair. Like you said, because talent at the end of the day is going to win out,
Yeah.
So that does make sense.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to put him up there.
Oh, man.
And then we get to your boy,
oh, man.
Rashee Rice. I'm not even going to ramble. I want thoughts right off the bat, baby.
So I love the landing spot. I love the fact he's with the Kansas City Chiefs. I love the fact he's the type of wide receiver they haven't had in a long time. So he kind of fills a role that nobody else on that team fills whatsoever. In terms of himself as like a route runner, stuff like that, we've seen a lot of perception things that are saying he is not a very good route runner, which I have never said that he is, I will say for the record. But he is great at making contested catches. He's got great body control. He's got great ways of finding seams in the defense, good size, good athleticism. Pretty much all the tools he would need to be successful, especially in a high-powered offense like the Kansas City Chiefs. But it's just a matter if he can get open himself. But I think also Andy Reid's a good enough coach to get him open. Yeah. So if we're looking at tiers, I'm gonna be a little bit more realistic. I'm gonna say front end of tier 4. I think is a safe place to put Rashee Rice.
I think I'm in agreement with you. I'm perfectly fine with putting him right there at the top end of tier 4.
Yeah, I don't want to go too crazy. I love Rashee, but he's gonna have to prove a little bit of himself to us as well.
Absolutely. All right, and then we go to a running back here in Roschon Johnson. He goes to the Chicago Bears, I believe, in the 4th round. Situation there, They have Khalil Herbert. They have Deonta Foreman. Both guys that have been productive so far throughout their career, have looked good these past couple of years, have been efficient even. But we've talked about this. Roschon probably comes in and is immediately the most talented guy. You mentioned it, and I thought you stated it very well. Probably the easiest path of ascension for any of the running backs outside of the top two to become that RB1. And I think I'm in agreement with you there. With that being said,
where does that place him?
Yeah, where does he belong amongst these guys that we've already put on the list?
So I think, to be fair, right, because I don't think he's too far removed from guys like this, I'm looking at tier 4, and I'm looking at in between Kendre Miller and Tank Bigsby, possibly ahead of them. But what do you think about that?
That's definitely the right range. I'm absolutely putting him in tier 4. I'm probably putting him right around Kendre and Tank. Where I put him, I'm honestly not so sure. I don't know that I could make like a great argument for why he should be ahead or behind them. I think they're fairly close. So I'm fine with whatever your preference would be.
All right, guys. So I'm going to slap them right there in the middle. I want you guys to look at this group of Kendre Miller, Tank Bigsby, and Roschon Johnston as just one big 1A, 1B, and 1C.
Yep, that's exactly right. All right, we got 3 players left. We're rounding out this list here. We got CJ Stroud, who we already mentioned. He's tier 2, right?
Absolutely, but where in tier 2?
Good question. It's Superflex. So I have a real hard time saying that he doesn't belong right behind Bryce Young.
Right.
But I got a strong feeling that Jahmyr Gibbs might be a better investment than CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud is going to be the starter. He's not going into a good situation with the Texans. They don't really have an offensive line other than Laramie Tunsil. Their wide receiver core is Mechie, Nico Collins, Robert Woods, a bunch of other rookies, Tank Dell, Xavier Hutchinson.
Hella slot receivers. Lots of guys that do the exact same thing, which is, yeah, I don't know. Good, bad, probably somewhere in the middle. So, yeah, what do you think? Can you be our differentiator here? I'm thinking right behind Jahmyr Gibbs. And it's just because, like you said, the situation isn't amazing, whereas Jahmyr Gibbs has an amazing situation. He's young. And also, we've seen Alabama running backs pan out more than we've seen Ohio State quarterbacks pan out, if we're being honest.
All right.
We're being honest.
I mean, yeah, but are we really going to buy into those narratives?
If we're being honest.
Like, come on.
I'm gonna need an Ohio State quarterback to do something before I start throwing them above Alabama running backs.
Don't judge the player by his helmet, bro. Come on.
Nah, but I think from a serious note, I do think CJ Stroud is a little bit behind Jahmyr Gibbs, just because I feel like Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be so involved so early that it's just going to be nuts. Yeah,
I'm fine with that. I've been debating that for a week or two at this point, really ever since the draft. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs plays running back. We're talking about, like, the least longevity of a position with the most longevity of a position at quarterback. So that's really my only contention. But as far as short-term value, Jahmyr is going to be money.
I will say, though, with Jahmyr Gibbs' skill set, just his pure skill set, it does add for a play style that has more longevity in the league. The fact that he is more of a receiving back, he can run between the tackles. Like, I'm not saying he can't do that whatsoever. He's going to be doing that. But he's also really good at it as well. He's not like a violent runner. He's not running through contact. He usually tries to avoid it for the most part. So,
that's fair. Okay, I dig it. Taijae Spears.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, this is one we've been disagreeing on a little bit in our mock drafts so far, post NFL draft. He goes to the Tennessee Titans. We found out during the draft that he doesn't have an ACL in one of his knees after 2 ACL tears in college, and that he might already be developing arthritis in that knee, a la Todd Gurley. We liked him as a prospect. He's incredibly shifty and dynamic in open space, really good running back if we're setting the injury concerns aside. I like what he can bring to the NFL football field, and if Derrick Henry doesn't last long here in Tennessee, he could step into that RB1 role and be quite productive, I think. So, I've introed him. Where are we going?
So over the days, I've been kind of grappling with this one as well, and I've been thinking about it a lot, especially since our last mock draft. And Taijae Spears is probably in tier 5, probably top into tier 5.
Yes.
Because I do think he is talented, but like you've said before, this is the position with the all right. This is the position with the shortest shelf life, and on top of that, he doesn't have an ACL, so it's not really great outlook for Taijae Spears himself. Even though we do love the player, kind of love the landing spot, like you said. Like if Derrick Henry isn't there, obviously he's got opportunity, but Derrick Henry's got to not be there. He'll still get opportunity with Derrick Henry there because it'll probably be more of a change of pace type of role, maybe catching passes out the backfield, stuff like that. But
yeah,
him not having a ACL and having arthritis or arthritic components already is not great.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement. I would say he belongs at the top end of tier 5, but it's not like that's saying a lot. There's only 3 guys there. I think I would probably still take Mingo ahead of him. But yeah, I think he belongs right in that area.
Okay, so would you move Jonathan Mingo to the front end of tier 5?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I
so
would.
Jonathan Mingo, Taijae Spears, Luke Musgrave, Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
And then the last guy on the list, before we get into the full discussion of how these tiers should shake out, is Zay Flowers. He is the last receiver taken in round 1 of the NFL draft. He goes to the Baltimore Ravens. We got Lamar coming back. We still got Rashad Bateman there. We got Mark Andrews there. We have the new OC, Todd Monken.
You gonna disrespect the GOAT like that, man? You gonna disrespect the GOAT? They got Odell Beckham Jr., bro. Oh my God. No ACL, 30-year-old Odell. Let's get it, bro.
Odell doesn't get enough respect. Like for what he is historically, genuinely. I'm being serious right now. I did just forget to throw him in there. At this point in his career, I don't know what he has left to bring to the table.
Yeah.
But historically, bro, one of the best wide receivers of all time.
Yeah, we've ever
legitimately, like top 5 wide receiver talent ever.
Mm-hmm.
He's incredible. We don't not enough people talk about how fucking amazing Odell was.
I legitimately forgot that he's 5'11". This is a tangent. Like the other day I was looking up because I was playing Weddle and there was a receiver that was like 6'2", and I was like, oh, I could just like Odell, and it popped up 5'11". I was like, oh, he's 5'11". He's a dog.
He's a monster.
But that's our Odell love for the day. You're not going to get much of it this season, so enjoy that for what you got. But
for Zay Flowers.
For Zay Flowers, I'm looking at tier 3, and I'm looking right behind Dalton Kincaid. For me personally, because I do love Zay Flowers. I like him as a prospect, and I'm not as down on the landing spot as a lot of people are. I think Rashad Bateman, I think he's a great prospect. And I know he's one of Eric's guys. Eric loves Rashad Bateman. He's been talking about him for years, so I know a little bit about Rashad myself through Eric. And I think Rashad Bateman's extremely talented. I would just like to see more out of him. I'd also like to see him stay on the field. And that's one of the things. I feel like he's on a team full of receivers that have a hard time staying on the field. So if he can just stay out there, he's going to end up doing something in fantasy.
Yeah.
At a pretty high level.
I completely agree. Yeah, I 100% agree with all of your take, all of your opinion. I agree on exactly where we should place him as well. Right after Dalton Kincaid, I think is right where he belongs.
Hell yeah.
All right. So we have everybody on the list. Let's get into this a little bit. Tier 1, easy. No argument. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it stays the way it is.
Tier 2, same. I'm good with it.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Okay. Tier 3, Jordan Addison belongs at the top. I think we agree with that. Dalton Kincaid, Quentin Johnston, we talked about maybe switching them back and but they're close enough that I'm fine with where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
Zay Flowers, same. I'm cool with him right there. Then we get to Devon Achane, Michael Mayer, Sam Laporta, Will Levis.
Devon Achane may need to move back. Just a little bit. Just because he was one of the first players we placed. I love the landing spot, love the team, this and that. But one of the things I didn't really take into account too much, because you brought it up with how far removed is Kendre Miller or Tank Bigsby from a Devon Achane, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's that far. I do think there's a difference because I do think Devon Achane is going to rise to the top. I think he's the most talented back in Miami. But he's still got a good amount of traffic to get through before he gets to that point. Now, in the future, obviously, those guys are both older, so they're going to end up being gone at some point soon anyways. But I don't want to move him out of the tier, but moving him back may be a thing, just a little bit. But what do you think?
So I'm struggling. Let's talk about this for real here. So
Okay.
if we were to make the perfect mock, and we've done 2 recently where we've been in basically full agreement on
Both
exactly
perfect,
where
by
these
the way.
guys
You
are
guys should
going.
watch those. You guys should watch them. They're both perfect.
Absolutely, go check them out. Bijan, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, Jahmyr Gibbs, CJ Stroud, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Jordan Addison, Quentin Johnston, Dalton Kincaid, Zay Flowers. We're at the one. Who are you drafting next?
You said we're at the one what? I'm sorry.
Did I miscount?
You said we're at the 111?
So that's Zay Flowers would have
Right.
been the 110.
Right. Okay, so we're at the 111.
So yeah, now we're at the 111. Like, who are the next 2 picks that go in the first round?
Being honest with myself, it's probably Devon, Achane, and Will Levis.
Yeah, I think I'm probably in agreement with you. And also, I said that real easy. I rattled off the top 10. There were no arguments. And then it was like, now what? Is that a sign that should be a tier break?
Yeah, but if we do that, we got a lot of people I feel like are going down to that 5th tier.
Then I think maybe that's what's necessary. I think maybe that's what's to happen.
Okay. So starting at Devon, Achane, you want to start moving people down to tier 4, which I'm cool with.
Okay.
If that's the case, where's the next tier break? Because if you ask me, it's
Yeah, this is interesting.
probably at Jaden Reed. Maybe Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah. So, oh man, this is tough. If we move Devon Achane, or are you saying Devon Achane stays in 3?
So Devon Achane's moving down to 4. We would move him and everybody behind him down to
including Levis and the tight ends?
4. Yeah, but Levis would just be at the top of tier 4.
Yeah, okay.
And move ahead of the tight ends.
Okay. So they all move down to tier 4. We just talked about how Achane, like the difference between Achane and these next guys, Kendre, Roschon, and Tank, is pretty close. I think that they could still belong in the same tier. That wouldn't be too far-fetched. Do you think Charbonnet would still belong in the same tier group as them?
I'd say no. Just because there is no like clear route to the number 1 running back spot for that team. You know, like he's going to always be sharing in a committee. You know what I'm saying? It's always going to be a 50-50 with him and Kenneth Walker.
As long as they're both healthy, there's no...
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Okay. And then, so he would move down. Josh Downs, Marvin Mims, Rashee Rice, do they still stay in tier 4? Or, like, do you think that those... Rashee Rice, I guess, is the top end of tier 4, so maybe I shouldn't group them all together. But, like, Josh Downs, Marvin Mims, do they belong in the same tier as Levis, Mayer, Laporta?
No, unfortunately.
Yeah. Damn, this is tough. Maybe I should have added a 6th group.
I mean, shit, I could do it right now. Maybe. Who knows?
All right, maybe we have to do that.
I don't know if I can, actually.
That's all right. More so, I think us talking through this is what's gonna help people. We are running a little bit long. Video is getting, but the big takeaways here, the top 10 I think are clearly defined. I think the top 6 is in a category of its own, and those guys are of really high trade value. And then you talk about Addison, QJ, Dalton Kincaid, Zay Flowers, really good group of guys, but clearly a tier down from the 6 above them. And then I think really the biggest lesson that we're learning here right now is that once you get outside that top 10 in the first round, it's kind of get your guy season. Like
Yeah.
it's all over the place.
There's no real consensus, I feel like, after that top 10. It's just, like you said, it's whoever you want, whoever you value, whoever you want on your Dynasty team that is going to fill a role for you, because the value is so similar after you get past that.
Yeah.
Or either the value or the risk, you know?
True. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I don't think we even need to necessarily shake all of this out, but if you guys have paid attention, you've heard what we've been saying, the arguments we've been making, I think that's the important takeaway as far as value goes. The top 6 are in a tier of their own, and I think, like, if you're talking about trading out of this round or of the 2023 draft for a 2024 first, I think those 6 guys are probably not worth doing that 1-for-1. And then once you get past that, I'm more than fine, trading for a 2024 first or for, good veteran production, whatever the case may be. And then it gets cloudy real fast.
Yeah, definitely agree.
All right. So I think that will round us out. I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of a different video than we've ever done. I like these kind of tier lists. It was fun for us to debate that stuff. I like it. Let us know down in the comments below if you enjoyed, how you would have organized these tiers differently, what you think we got right, what you think we got wrong. Check out all of the links that we have down in the description for our partners. Go use our promo code, support us. That would mean a whole hell of a lot to me and to Will, and it helps us grow and develop as content creators. And join the Discord. That link is also down in the description below. We are slowly adding to the family. We got a good group of people in there, really smart Dynasty players that are helping each other out. They're asking us questions, all sorts of good stuff. So hop in there. What else do you have for us before we leave, Will?
Just make sure you guys do all that great YouTube stuff. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That way you know all the times we drop all our latest videos so you can get the most up-to-date fantasy football news and content. Make sure you guys leave a like. It's absolutely free, but it's the best way to get our stuff out there and support us, as well as leaving a comment. Let us know if you agree with our tiers. Let us know if there's anywhere you would have placed players. Let us know if you think I'm an idiot, you think Eric's an idiot. He's not an idiot. It's probably going to be me more so than him. But
bro, we're the ball busters. We're fools in here. What are you talking about?
Equal idiocy. Let's go. So let us know what we got wrong. Let us know what we got right. Drop it down in the comments below. But as always, if you made it this far into the video, we love you, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.